At 68, with nothing but grief and a black mourning dress, I had to beg for a job in a stranger's mansion just to survive. After nearly 5 decades of marriage, I stood alone in a quiet Vermont farmhouse, surrounded by silence that used to be filled with the hum of Walter's laughter, the clinking of teacups, and the steady rhythm of a life we built together. And just like that, it was all gone. Walter had passed, gentle, strong, loyal Walter, and I was left behind in a house that suddenly felt too big for one heart to bear. Grief, I've learned, doesn't shout. It whispers. It seeps in through the windows at night. It sits across from you at breakfast and waits patiently for you to fall apart. And in those first few weeks, I did fall apart, quietly, alone. 3 weeks after Walter's funeral, while the sympathy cards were still lined up on the mantel like tiny gravestones of compassion, my daughter Celeste came to visit. She didn't hug me. She didn't sit. She placed her designer handbag on my kitchen table like she was planting a flag. And with a tone colder than the Vermont frost, she said the words that cracked something inside me: either you start working again, or you find somewhere else to live. It took me a second to understand. Celeste, my own daughter, the girl I raised through scraped knees and high school heartbreaks, was evicting me from my own life. She saw me as a burden, a cost, something to be managed. So there I was, 68 years old, widowed, grieving, and now disposable. That night I stared at the ceiling in Walter's old armchair, wondering how I'd become invisible, wondering when the world had decided that aging meant fading. And then, like life does, it threw me a curveball. Celeste had found me a job, a live-in caregiver position, for a wealthy, reclusive man out in the hills, a stranger, a mansion, a contract for my survival. And against all reason, against every trembling instinct in my body, I said yes. Not because I was brave, but because I had nowhere else to go. I remember still being in my black dress when it happened. The one I wore at Walter's funeral, plain wool, a little too tight in the shoulders because I'd aged since I last wore it to my sister's service years ago. I hadn't had the energy to change, and maybe deep down, I didn't want to. Maybe I needed the weight of it on my shoulders to remind me that he was truly gone. Celeste arrived unannounced, as she often did. Her SUV crunched the gravel of the driveway like a threat. I heard the slam of her door, the purposeful click of her heels on the porch, and then, without knocking, she stepped into the kitchen like she owned the place. Technically, she did. She was wearing that expensive gray blazer, the one with shoulder pads sharp enough to cut glass. Her blonde hair was twisted up in a perfect knot, not a single strand out of place. Her eyes scanned the room, the old wooden table, the faded curtains, the coffee I hadn't finished. Her lips curled slightly. "Mom," she said, placing her purse on the table with a solid thud. "We need to talk." The air in the room shifted. I felt it in my bones, that tone clipped, cold practiced. I knew it well. I'd heard it when she was 16 and decided I was too embarrassing to introduce to her friends. I'd heard it again when she came home from college that first Thanksgiving, full of theories and new words like emotional boundaries and dependency patterns. "I've been thinking," she continued, arms crossed, "this arrangement isn't working anymore." I blinked. My fingers curled around a chipped coffee cup, trembled slightly. "What arrangement, honey?" I asked, gently, hoping to soften whatever edge she'd brought with her. Her eyes narrowed. "You living here? Me covering your bills?" Dad left everything to me, the house, the accounts, the life insurance. I have my own family to take care of. I can't keep supporting you like this. The coffee cup slipped from my hand. It shattered against the floor, ceramic fragments skipping across the tile like startled birds. The liquid spread quickly, dark, bitter, chaotic, like the moment itself. "Celeste," I whispered, trying to process. "It's only been 3 weeks. 3 weeks since your father—" She didn't flinch, didn't even look at the mess. She just continued businesslike. "Life doesn't stop, Mom. I have clients. I have bills. This isn't sustainable." I knelt down slowly, knees creaking in protest, and began picking up the broken pieces. I felt the sting of a shard slicing my thumb, but I didn't stop. It was something to do something other than falling apart. I get Social Security, I murmured. It's not much, but I could contribute. Maybe $800 a month. Celeste laughed, not cruelly, but with that awful detached air of someone who's already made up her mind. Mom, that doesn't even cover the utilities. She paused, then sighed like she was doing me a favor. Look, I've actually been thinking ahead. There's a job opening, live-in caregiving, good salary, room and board. I emailed them your resume. I looked up, stunned. My resume. You were a nurse before you married Dad, remember? She said, already pulling out her phone. This is perfect. You have experience. The man just needs help with daily routines. It's not medical. Celeste? I haven't worked in over 40 years, I said, blood drying on my palm. And caregiving, now it's different. The world's changed. I've changed. Her eyes flicked up from the phone. You still know how to cook. You still know how to talk to people. You know how to clean. It's basically that plus companionship. You can do that. She was already typing again, already moving on. I scheduled your interview for tomorrow morning. Hawthorne Estate. The man's name is Julian. I rose to my feet, slowly, stiff and shaking. My knees ached. My heart ached more. And if I don't go, I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Celeste didn't answer immediately. She didn't have to. Her silence said everything. Then finally, without meeting my eyes, she said, Then you'll need to find somewhere else to live. There it was. Clean. Cold. Final. The girl I once held through stomach flus and night terrors, the same child I stayed awake for when she had her first heartbreak, was now putting me out like expired milk. I suppose part of me saw it coming. But knowing it doesn't soften the blow, I'm sorry, Mom, she said, suddenly sounding tired, but I can't carry you forever. And with that, she left. I didn't cry that night. Not right away. I sat at the kitchen table in that stiff black dress for hours. The old clock ticked. The house creaked in places Walter would have known how to fix. His flannel jacket was still hanging by the door, like maybe he'd come back to grab it on the way out to feed the chickens. But he wasn't coming back. And now, neither was the life I thought I'd have. There's a kind of grief that comes after the grief. First you mourn the person, then you mourn the world they took with them. The conversations, the routines, the version of you that only existed with them. And now, with my daughter's words echoing through the empty house, I was mourning something else, too, my sense of place, of being needed, of being safe. The next morning, I packed a small overnight bag, a few clothes, a pair of flats. My old nursing license, yellowed and irrelevant, tucked between the pages of a paperback novel. I stood on the porch for a long time, looking out at the frost-kissed hills, the trees bare and trembling in the November wind. I had spent 44 years in that house. I'd planted tulips along the driveway. I'd danced in the kitchen while Walter sang off-key. I'd watched Celeste take her first steps in the living room right beside the old piano. And now it was no longer mine. The ride to the estate was silent. I drove myself hands tight on the wheel chest, tight with dread. I didn't know what I'd find there. A stranger in a strange house. A job I wasn't sure I could do. A life I didn't choose. But sometimes when you've been left with nothing, you say yes, not out of courage, but out of survival. And in that moment, I wasn't Marianne Ellis, wife of Walter. I wasn't Celeste's mother. I was just a woman in a black dress walking into something unknown. A door had closed, and another, whether I liked it or not, was opening. I didn't know what I expected from the Hawthorne estate, but it wasn't this. The gravel road narrowed the deeper I drove, winding through old maple groves and rolling hills blanketed in late autumn gold. Vermont in November has a certain melancholy to it. Bare trees, tired fields, skies the color of tin. And nestled in the silence, the Hawthorne property finally emerged like something out of another life entirely. The house was colossal. Not grand in the gaudy way some rich people build things, but elegant, quiet, old. 3 stories of stone and timber framed against the tree's windows, tall and framed in black iron ivy, crawling up one entire wing like nature itself had tried to hold on. It wasn't just a home. It was a fortress built for someone who no longer trusted the world. I parked where a discreet sign said, "Staff and Deliveries," and for a long moment, I simply sat there, hands still on the steering wheel, trying to steady my breath. I glanced down at myself. Black dress again. I'd brought others, of course, but somehow I kept returning to this one as if part of me wasn't ready to take it off, as if removing it would mean admitting Walter was truly gone. I climbed the stone steps, palms clammy, my overnight bag bumping awkwardly against my hip. Before I could knock, the door opened. A woman in her early 60s stood before me, tall, severe. Her silver gray hair was pulled into a tight bun, and her expression was that of someone who had seen too many people come and go to bother being impressed. "Mrs. Ellis," she asked. I nodded, clearing my throat. "Yes, Marianne, I'm Mrs. Larkin, house manager. Mr. Hawthorne is expecting you." She stepped aside, and I crossed the threshold into another world. The interior was stunning. Quietly so, polished wood floors, crown molding that whispered money, but not vanity. A grand staircase curved along one side, its banister gleaming under the soft glow of antique sconces. There was no television blaring, no music playing, just stillness, as if the house held its breath. We walked through long halls lined with oil portraits and heavy velvet curtains. The scent of lemon polish and something older cedar maybe clung to the air. Mrs. Larkin moved briskly, heels clicking with precision. "He lives in the West Wing," she said without turning. "The staff quarters are separate. Meals are coordinated through me. Your job, should you be selected, would include assistance with dressing, bathing, medication, reminders, daily companionship, and light housekeeping in his personal quarters." I nodded, trying to keep up. "I understand." She glanced back at me for the first time. "He's had 17 caregivers in the past 2 years. I blinked. 17, Mr. Hawthorne can be particular. Her tone made it clear that particular was the polite stand-in for something far more difficult. She stopped outside a pair of grand double doors, the kind you might see leading into a library or a ballroom. Her hand rested on the knob. "One more thing," she said, eyes sharp. "Mr. Hawthorne values discretion. He does not appreciate small talk. If you are uncertain about something, ask. He'd rather deal with directness than guessing." I nodded again. My heart thudded like a rabbit in my chest. Mrs. Larkin opened the doors and I stepped inside. It was a library, the kind you dream of. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined the walls, filled with hardcovers in every color and size. A fire crackled in a massive stone hearth. Soft light filtered through tall windows that overlooked a garden just beginning to frost over. And there by the window sat a man in a wheelchair. He was turned slightly away, gazing outside. But even from behind, I could sense the gravity of him. Tall, broad-shouldered despite the way his body sat slouched. Silver hair not wispy or frail, but thick, swept back from his forehead. And when he turned toward us, I saw his face. Julian Hawthorne was striking, not in the Hollywood perfect symmetry way, but in the way that made you pause. His features were sharp, distinguished cheekbones like marble, a square jaw and eyes that stopped me cold. They were the color of old photographs, a faded blue like storm clouds over water, eyes that had seen too much and forgotten too little. "Mr. Hawthorne," Mrs. Larkin said crisply. "This is Mrs. Ellis, the candidate we spoke of." He didn't say anything at first, just studied me, unblinking, and for a moment I forgot how to stand properly. I didn't feel like a candidate. I felt like a specimen. Then he spoke. "Mrs. Ellis," he said, his voice low and composed but not unkind. "Please, sit." I did, in the chair across from his, the one angled near the fire. I smoothed my dress, tried not to fidget. His gaze never left mine. It wasn't flirtatious or curious. It was searching, as if trying to place me. There was a long silence. Then he said something that made the breath catch in my throat. "Have we met before, Mrs. Ellis?" My mouth went dry. I opened it, closed it again. My mind raced. "No," I said too quickly. Then quieter, "I don't think so." His eyes narrowed slightly, not in suspicion but in thought. He murmured. "Perhaps not." I forced a smile I didn't quite feel. "I'm told I have one of those faces." Julian tilted his head slightly as though turning the idea over. Then he glanced at Mrs. Larkin and nodded. "Leave us, please." Mrs. Larkin hesitated, then gave a brief nod and stepped out the doors, whispering shut behind her. And just like that, we were alone. I felt the room shift again. He was still watching me, not in a way that made me feel threatened, but seen, truly seen, as if I were a puzzle piece he'd once lost beneath the couch and only just found again. "I understand you were a nurse," he said finally. "Yes, a long time ago, before I married, before your husband passed." "Yes," I said, glancing down. "Recently. I'm sorry." "Thank you." He studied me for another moment, then said with careful gentleness, "You don't seem entirely comfortable here." I let out a soft breath. "I'm not, but I need this job." Julian nodded slowly, his eyes finally drifting away from mine, out toward the window again. His voice when he spoke next was quiet. "You and I are both in places we never imagined we'd be." I didn't know what to say to that, but I felt it, the truth of it, settle between us like dust in a sunbeam. Whatever had brought him here to this house, to this wheelchair, to this life, it had carved something hollow inside him. And for a flicker of a moment, I wondered if that hollowness matched mine. I didn't know who Julian Hawthorne really was, but I had a strange sense deep in my bones that we weren't strangers at all, and I wasn't sure yet if that thought scared me or comforted me. That night, in the quiet of the guest suite, I sat on the edge of the bed with my hands folded in my lap. The room was elegant, far more luxurious than anything I'd ever known. Cream-colored walls, antique furnishings, a chandelier that cast soft golden halos onto the ceiling. Even the bathroom shimmered like something out of a hotel catalog. But I didn't feel at home. Not yet. The suitcase I'd packed sat unopened in the corner, as if I couldn't quite admit I might stay. Instead, I'd brought with me a single cardboard box, battered taped along the sides from old moves, its label long faded. I set it gently on the bed. It was one of the few things Celeste had allowed me to take from the house without argument. Most of my belongings had been deemed non-essential or too old to matter. But this box, I'd insisted. Inside were small pieces of a life, some clothes, a few worn paperbacks, a chipped porcelain music box Walter had given me on our 20th anniversary. And beneath all that, wrapped in tissue paper that had yellowed with time, was the thing I hadn't meant to bring, but somehow couldn't leave behind. My photo albums. I hadn't opened them since Walter's funeral. Back then, I thought flipping through memories would bring comfort. Instead, it had felt like holding a mirror up to everything I'd lost. But something pulled me toward them now. Maybe it was the way Julian Hawthorne had looked at me earlier, not like a stranger, but like a memory rising to the surface. Maybe it was just loneliness. I sat cross-legged on the bed and opened the first album. There was my wedding to Walter, 1975, late summer. My hair curled, just so my smile tentative. Walter looking proud, nervous young. The photos moved through the decades, baby pictures of Celeste, our first Christmas in the farmhouse backyard barbecues, retirement parties. A careful, quiet life, predictable, respectable, safe. I set that album aside and reached for the second one. This one was different. The leather cover was faded, blue corners cracked. Inside were black and white snapshots with scalloped edges, Polaroids blurred at the corners. This was the life that came before, the one I'd folded away and buried deep like a letter you can't bring yourself to burn. My breath hitched. There he was, Jude. In the first photo, I was 20, maybe 19, wearing a yellow sundress I'd sewn myself. My hair was longer than darker, tied back with a ribbon. I was laughing, truly laughing, head thrown back, hands in motion. And standing beside me was Jude, one arm slung around my waist, his face lit up with that reckless, contagious grin. He looked like music. That's how I always remembered him. Jude had been my whole world once. He was wild in the way boys are before they're taught to settle. He played guitar, scribbled poems in the margins of his notebooks, and talked about living in Paris someday, or buying a sailboat and disappearing. He'd kiss me like he was starving, and call me his compass, the only thing that made him feel steady. We'd met in a coffee shop near the community college where I studied nursing. I was serious, cautious, ruled by timetables. He was fire, and I had wanted to burn. I flipped through more photos, Jude teaching me how to dance in my cramped apartment, my socks slipping on the hardwood, Jude playing guitar on the back porch, sunlight catching the curl of his dark hair. Jude holding my face in his hands, whispering something that made my eyes brim with tears. And then the last photo, a train platform, his suitcase by his feet, my face red from crying, his hands on either side of my cheeks, our foreheads touching. I remembered what he said that day, word for word. I'm going to make something of myself, Marianne. I'll be back in 2 years. I'll give you everything you deserve. And I had believed him. I had waited, a year, then 2. The letters came at first handwritten, full of hope and promise. Then they slowed. Then they stopped. Silence grew where love had lived. People whispered he'd made it big out west, maybe. I didn't know. I only knew that waiting started to feel like drowning. That's when Walter entered my life. Sweet, dependable Walter. A banker with kind eyes and steady hands. He didn't make my heart race, but he brought me flowers every Friday. He listened. He stayed. And when he asked me to marry him, I said, yes, not because I didn't love Jude anymore, but because I couldn't love a ghost. I closed the album gently and wiped my eyes with the sleeve of my cardigan. But something rattled beneath the tissue paper lining the box. A small envelope. I frowned, hands shaking slightly, and pulled it free. The paper was thick, cream-colored. My name, Marianne, was written in bold script. I knew that handwriting, Jude's. I turned it over. The seal was still unbroken. Some part of me must have tucked it away when it arrived. Maybe it came too late. Maybe I couldn't bear to open it then. But now I had to know. I peeled the envelope open, heart thudding in my ears. Inside was a single page. My dearest Marianne, I've done it. Everything I promised you and more. I've built something real, something that means I can finally give you the life I always dreamed of. I'm coming back next month. I bought a house, our house. I can't wait to carry you across the threshold. I kept my word, love, and I hope with all my heart that you kept yours. Forever yours, Jude. The date on the letter was 3 weeks after my wedding to Walter. My breath left me in a single broken sob. He had kept his promise. He had come back for me. And I had already promised myself to someone else. I hadn't been abandoned. I had simply moved on too soon. I pressed the letter to my chest and closed my eyes. The ache that had lived dormant in me for decades cracked open raw and real. Suddenly, the way Julian had looked at me earlier, the long pause, the searching gaze, the question, it made sense. The eyes, the shape of his mouth, even the way he tilted his head when he asked, "Have we met before?" Could Julian be Jude? No, that was impossible, wasn't it? I shook my head, willing myself to let it go. To close the book literally and metaphorically. But deep inside, something shifted. A door creaked open in the back of my mind, and through it, memories began to walk, uninvited, unstoppable. I set the letter back in the envelope and tucked it between the pages of the album. Then I returned everything to the box and slid it beneath the bed. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I lay staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind scrape against the glass like an old whisper. I wondered if the man downstairs with his cold tone and blue eyes and carefully constructed walls remembered a girl in a yellow dress, laughing beside him at a train station. And if he did, what did that mean? For him? For me? For everything we thought we'd left behind. I didn't sleep that night. The letter, the one I'd buried deep in a box for nearly half a century, stayed pressed against my chest for hours, like I was afraid that letting it go would erase everything again. The words kept circling in my head. I kept my word, love, and I hope with all my heart that you kept yours. But I hadn't. Not because I stopped loving him, not even because I stopped believing. I just ran out of strength to wait. Now that letter lived in my hands again, and Julianne was downstairs breathing the same air, looking at me like he was trying to fit me into a puzzle he hadn't touched in decades. At sunrise, I folded the letter back into its envelope and slid it under my pillow. My body ached not from age, but from the weight of memory. By the time I went downstairs, the house was already moving in its quiet, mechanical rhythm. Mrs. Larkin handed me a fresh cup of coffee with a nod and a quick, almost imperceptible glance at my face. I must have looked like a ghost. Julian was in the conservatory when I found him. The morning light filtered in through the glass walls, casting long stripes across the stone floor and the worn leather of his wheelchair. He was reading the paper, or at least pretending to. When I stepped in, he didn't look up right away. But when he did it was again that flicker. Like the moment before, a name returns to your tongue. "Good morning, Mrs. Ellis," he said evenly. "Good morning." I set his coffee on the small table beside him, careful not to let my hand shake. But he noticed. His gaze lingered on me for a moment longer than it should have. "Did you sleep well?" "No," I said truthfully. "Neither did I." He folded the paper with slow precision and set it aside. There was a pause. Then out of nowhere he asked, "Have you ever been to a town called Willow Creek?" My entire body froze. He couldn't have known. He couldn't possibly. Yes, I answered before I could think. My voice cracked slightly. He turned fully toward me now, eyes sharper than before. Not cold, just searching. There was a little diner there. What was it called? Murphy's, I think. My throat tightened. "Murphy's Diner," I whispered. He smiled faintly. They made the worst coffee and the best cherry pie. My legs nearly gave out beneath me. I reached for the back of the chair beside him and steadied myself. "There was a lake, too," he continued almost dreamily. "Out past the woods. Kids used to go there on Sunday afternoons. We'd bring a blanket, some cheap wine, a transistor radio. I tried to smile, I tried to breathe, and dance barefoot in the grass," I added. He looked at me then, not as an employer looks at a caregiver, but as someone looking across a great chasm of time and seeing something rise out of the fog. Then he said it, "Yellow sundress." My breath caught. A single tear escaped down my cheek. "You always looked beautiful in that dress." I covered my mouth with one hand, my whole body trembling. "I knew it," he whispered. He rolled his chair forward slowly until we were face to face. There was nothing cold in his eyes now, only disbelief. And something else, something fragile and bright and terrified. "How long have you known?" he asked gently. I sat down in the chair beside him, pressing my fingers into my palms until they hurt. "Last night," I said. "I found an old letter, one I never opened." His voice was low, the one I sent when I came back. I nodded, unable to speak. He leaned back in his chair and looked up at the conservatory ceiling as if trying to steady himself. "I thought you had moved on," he said. "I told myself you forgot about me, that you got tired of waiting." "I did wait," I said too quickly. "I waited for years." But your letters stopped. The silence grew. And Walter, he was kind. He was there, I thought. "You thought I had broken my promise he finished for me." I nodded, my voice shaking. "Yes." Julian exhaled through his nose. "I never stopped writing, Marianne. My business partners. They didn't think a small-town girl fit the image they wanted. They intercepted my letters, convinced me you'd moved on." I blinked. They did what he nodded slowly. "By the time I realized what they'd done, you were already married." The silence that followed was heavier than grief. It was the weight of decades lost for no good reason. I looked for you, he added softly. Hired someone even. I followed your life from a distance, your wedding, your daughter, the move to the farmhouse, your husband's illness. But I never interfered. I just needed to know you were okay. I stared at him in stunned silence. For 48 years I finally managed. He nodded. Every year, every milestone. I was there quietly. I pressed a hand to my chest. Julian. Jude, he interrupted gently. And I broke. The sob that came out of me wasn't quiet. It was the sound of a heart splitting open, the sound of a woman who had held too much for too long. He didn't speak, didn't move, just let me cry beside him in that sun-drenched conservatory, the ghosts of our past lives swirling around us like dust motes in the light. When I finally composed myself, I wiped my face with a trembling hand. I didn't know it was you, I said. Not until last night. I didn't recognize you at first either, he admitted. Time, it changes everything. But then you said something. The way you moved, your laugh. And I couldn't let it go. We sat in silence, the kind that doesn't need filling. After a long moment, he said, So now what? I looked at him, truly looked. He was older, worn. But so was I. And beneath all of it, the wheelchair, the years, the silence, there he was. Jude. I don't know, I answered. But I'm tired of pretending we don't remember. His hand moved slightly toward mine, hesitated, then rested beside it. We lost our first chance, he said. Do we get a second? I looked at our hands, wrinkled, worn, still capable of holding something sacred. I think I whispered, we just found it. There was something sacred in that silence between us. Julian Jude sat across from me, no longer the enigmatic recluse I'd met just days ago. Now he was the boy who once danced with me in a field at dusk, who whispered poetry into my ear while we lay on a picnic blanket beside Willow Creek Lake. But time had changed us. We were older now, quieter in our griefs, but perhaps more honest in our truths. I looked at his hands resting on the armrests of his wheelchair. They trembled slightly, not with weakness, but with restraint, like he was holding back a lifetime of words. He didn't look away when he spoke next. I meant every word I ever wrote to you, Marianne, even when the world told me to move on, even when it seemed like you had. My eyes burned. I never stopped loving you, Jude, but when your letters stopped, I thought you had vanished on purpose. I thought the dream was just that, a dream. His gaze was steady. It wasn't. He reached into the inside pocket of his blazer and pulled out a small, worn velvet box. Time had faded its color to a soft gray, but the second I saw it, my breath caught. I've carried this with me for nearly 5 decades, he said quietly, not as a reminder of what I lost, but of what I still hope to find. He opened it slowly. Inside, nestled in its cushioned bed, was the silver promise ring he'd given me when we were barely more than teenagers, simple, unpolished, engraved with the words someday on the inside band. My hand flew to my mouth. I returned that to you the morning you left, I whispered. I know, he said, and I held on to it anyway. I stared at it, tears spilling over my lashes. Why his voice didn't waver? Because no one else was ever you. The words settled on me like snowfall, soft, silent, impossible to ignore. I reached out not for the ring, but for his hand. This time he didn't hesitate. His fingers closed around mine, thin and warm, and something electric passed between us. Not the reckless fire of youth, but something deeper, something earned. We sat there in the conservatory, our hands joined over the velvet box, as the morning sun bathed the room in gold. Time seemed to stretch and bend around us as if even the universe was giving us space to breathe. I've imagined this moment more times than I can count, he said softly. But in my mind, we were always 20 again. You wore that yellow dress, and I had a guitar slung over my shoulder. But now I think I prefer this version. I smiled through the tears. Why? Because now we know what it costs to lose something that mattered. He looked down for a moment, composing himself. There were nights I'd wake up and wonder where you were. If you were happy, if he treated you well, I told myself, as long as you were okay, that was enough. I swallowed hard. Walter was a good man. He loved me. He gave me a peaceful life. Julian nodded. I don't hate him for that. In fact, I've always been a little grateful to him. I raised an eyebrow. He gave you a soft landing when I vanished. He was there when I wasn't. That takes a kind of strength I didn't have back then. I stared at him for a long moment. Then I said, and yet, part of me always felt like I left something unfinished. So did I. There was a pause. Then I asked the question that had been pressing on my heart since the night before. Why didn't you ever come back for me? Not just with letters. I mean truly. Stand at my door, demand answers. He sighed, eyes distant. Because I was afraid. Of me, no, he said. Of who you might have become without me. What if you were happy? What if I knocked on that door and ruined everything you'd built? I told myself I missed my window, that I didn't deserve a second chance. I squeezed his hand. You should have knocked. I know that now. He looked at me, eyes raw, exposed. But the truth is, I never stopped watching your life. I know that sounds strange, but I had to know you were okay. I hired someone years ago, quietly. He kept me informed, nothing invasive, just updates, addresses, milestones. I was stunned. You followed me. He nodded, unashamed. I knew when Celeste was born, when you bought the farmhouse, when Walter was diagnosed. I never interfered, never once reached out. I just needed to know you were safe. My throat tightened. That's why you looked at me the way you did, isn't it, that first day? You already suspected. Yes, he admitted, but seeing you in person, it undid me. I leaned back in my chair, absorbing all of it. We lost so much time. We did. And yet, we're here. He nodded. We're here. I looked down at the ring again. It shimmered in the sunlight like it had waited just like him. Just like me. I used to think we were a tragedy, I said quietly. A love story cut short. But maybe we were just unfinished. Maybe we still are, he replied. There was something healing in saying it aloud, in laying the past on the table between us like a map of places we'd once traveled separately. Now, maybe, we could walk forward together. I looked at him and asked the question I hadn't dared voice before. Do you still believe in someday? His eyes sparkled. More than ever. We didn't speak after that. We didn't need to. We just sat together in the morning light, the air around us heavy with memory and possibility. Later, as I helped him to the dining room for lunch, he paused in the hallway and turned to me. Marianne. Yes. If I asked you to wear this again, he said, lifting the box not as a promise but as a reminder, would you? I looked at him, this man who had loved me from across the decades, and nodded. Yes, I said, I would. He reached out, took my hand, and slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit just a little snugger than it had back then, but it fit all the same. And for the first time in years, maybe decades, I didn't feel like a widow. I felt like someone who had come home. That evening after dinner, Julian and I sat by the fireplace in the smaller drawing room we'd quietly claimed as ours. It had once been a formal parlor for guests, but now it was a space filled with softness pillows that sagged from use, a blanket thrown over the arm of the sofa, and 2 cups of tea, always waiting to be poured. His ring, rested snugly on my finger. Every time I glanced at it, 1,000 emotions stirred: joy, disbelief, grief, hope. The kind of ring you don't need to explain. The kind that says we found each other again. But as we sat there, a subtle shift passed through the air. I felt it. Before he spoke, some hesitation, like a draft from a window barely open. He looked at the fire, not at me. And when he spoke, it was careful. Marianne, can I ask you something? I turned toward him, curious. Of course. His hands were folded in his lap. Strong hands still, but thinner now. Not the hands of the boy who once played guitar under the stars, but the man who lived through winters of solitude and disappointment. "You're here now," he said slowly, "and that means more than I can put into words. But before we go any further, I need to ask why." "Why now?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" He glanced at me, then away again. "You could have walked away when you realized who I was. You could have left it at the memory. But you stayed, and I want to believe it's because of the past, because of love." But he paused, swallowed hard. "I've seen how people look at this house, at what I have." The words landed like a chill in my chest, not cruel, not accusing, but afraid. He looked at me fully now. "Are you here because of the man I was, or the money I have?" It was the kind of question that would have broken a weaker woman. But I wasn't weak, not anymore. I stood up quietly and walked to the hearth, letting the fire's warmth settle into my skin. Then I turned and faced him, steady as stone. "Julian," I said, voice low but unwavering, "you can leave every penny to the shelter down the road, or to the library, or to that animal rescue in Montpelier you always talk about. Build a hospital, fund a music school, I don't care." His eyes widened slightly. I stepped closer. "I didn't come here to inherit anything. I didn't fall back into your life to become someone in your will. I came here because for 48 years I've lived with a knot in my heart, a knot that never loosened no matter how good my life looked from the outside." My voice wavered then, but I didn't look away. "You were the one thing I never let myself mourn properly, because I thought you abandoned me, and now I know the truth. You didn't. You tried. You came back. You waited. And now so have I." I knelt beside his chair, placing my hand over his. "So if you need to test me if asking that question gave you peace, fine. But don't ever ask me again, because I already had a life without you, and I'm not here to collect anything." There was a long silence. Then something inside him broke open, not loudly, but in the way his shoulders slumped, in the way his fingers gripped mine tighter, in the quiet trembling of his lip. He whispered I had to ask. "I know," I said. His voice cracked. "You're the first person I've trusted in years." "You don't have to do it all at once," I replied, "but you do have to let me love you." And just like that, the air shifted again, softer this time. A release. We sat like that for a long time, his hand wrapped in mine, the fire whispering beside us, the night folding in gently through the windows. Eventually we began to talk. Not about the past anymore, but about now. About what our days could look like if we truly built a life together, not as nurse and patient, not as employer and hired help, but as the people we were, and still could be. We talked about repainting the conservatory, about hosting a Sunday supper for the local kids who volunteered at the animal shelter. He even confessed a dream starting a foundation for underprivileged music students in honor of the years he spent hungry for melody. And I told him mine, that I wanted to write again, that I used to write poetry long ago before diapers and dinner shifts and long nights in the hospital with Walter. He smiled at that. "You always had a writer's soul," he said, "even when you were quiet." But then as the warmth settled into our bones, I said something that pulled the light from the room. "There's one thing we haven't talked about," I said. Julian's brow furrowed slightly. "What's that, Celeste?" He looked at me for a beat. "Your daughter?" "Yes." I sat down on the small ottoman across from him and folded my hands. "She's not going to take this well. I assumed as much. She thinks I'm fragile," I said. "That I need managing, that after Walter I should just fade into the background and stay convenient, quiet, grateful." Julian's jaw tensed. "She threw you out, Marianne. I know, but she's still my daughter." He nodded slowly. "Do you want me to speak with her?" "No," I said. "This has to come from me, but you need to be prepared. She'll see you as a threat. She already did before she knew who you were. She'll assume you're here for my money. She might do more than assume." He didn't flinch. "Let her. She can assume whatever she wants. This is my house, and I choose who I share it with." I smiled, grateful for his strength. "I just need you to be sure. I've never been more certain of anything," he said. "Let her come." But deep down, I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Celeste wasn't just entitled. She was smart, calculated. The moment she sensed a change in power, a shift in her control, she would act. And the moment she saw this ring on my hand, she would see war. Still, I took a deep breath and whispered the words I knew I had to say. I'm not afraid of her anymore. Julian reached for my hand and brought it to his lips. "Good," he murmured, "because I won't lose you again." It didn't take long for the peace between Julian and me to be disturbed. The next morning we made the simple decision to go into town. Julian insisted. He said he hadn't stepped inside a grocery store in nearly 3 years, and there was a particular brand of chocolate cake mix he remembered from his childhood that he wanted to find. I was hesitant partly because of the logistics, but mostly because of the eyes. People in small towns notice things, and in a place like ours, people talk. But Julian had this way of asking without pushing. He simply looked at me and said, "I want to be seen with you." So we went. I drove the old sedan he kept in the garage, and he rode in the passenger seat, silent but smiling. When we pulled into the market parking lot, I glanced over and saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "I'll be fine," he said as if convincing himself. Let them stare, and stare they did. We didn't do anything inappropriate. I pushed his wheelchair down the aisles, he picked out a few items, and we shared quiet jokes about things like raisin boxes and expired soup cans. But we must have looked close. Too close for people who hadn't been given the context of 48 years of unfinished love. Mrs. Henderson from the church quilting circle spotted us near the deli counter. Her eyes traveled from Julian to my hand, where his old silver promise ring now rested. Her face paled, and I knew without a doubt that the gossip machine had just roared to life. Sure enough, by the time we were back home and unpacking groceries, my phone rang. It was Celeste. I stared at the screen, the name glowing like a warning. Julian looked up from a carton of eggs. "It's her, isn't it?" I nodded. "Take it," he said. "I'm here," I answered. "Hi, Celeste. Are you sleeping with him?" Her voice, cold and sharp, cut through the line like a blade. I paused. The anger in her tone didn't surprise me, but the word choice did. "That's not your business," I said evenly. "You're living in his house, wearing some dusty old ring, and now people are saying they saw you in public with him, holding hands, buying groceries together, like some kind of couple." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "Celeste, what are you doing, Mom? He's disabled. He's old. You barely know him. You just lost Dad, and now you're auditioning for a new husband?" I said nothing. I didn't need to. Julian had rolled over beside me, having heard every word. He extended his hand toward me. "Let me," he said softly. I passed him the phone without hesitation. There was a beat of silence. Then Julian's voice, calm and deliberate, entered the conversation. "Celeste, this is Julian Hawthorne." A pause. I didn't realize you were. Yes, I'm here. And I think there are some things you need to understand." Another pause. "Your mother is strong, clear, dignified. She's not someone who needs managing, and she is not yours to control. I never said she was. You implied it. In every word, in every accusation. I'm just trying to protect her." From what he asked, a thread of steel under his tone. "From a man who cares for her. From a life where she's valued for who she is, not what she can give you." "Mr. Hawthorne," Celeste said, more composed. "Now I think we're all jumping to conclusions. I just think this is fast." Julian glanced at me. "Your mother and I have known each other for 48 years. Time is not the issue." Silence. "Look." Celeste said, her voice shifting into that cold, calculated tone I knew so well. "I'd like to meet with you. Both of you. Face to face." Julian raised an eyebrow. I nodded. He brought the phone back to his ear. "Fine. Tomorrow, 2:00, here." Then, without waiting for a goodbye, he hung up and handed the phone back to me. "Well," he said. "That went about as well as expected." I sat down feeling like I'd just stepped off a battlefield. "She's going to come in swinging," I said. "I can take it." I looked at him. "I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about what she'll do to us." Julian reached out and took my hand. "She can't destroy what we've built, Marianne, not unless we let her." I nodded, but inside, I felt the anxiety curling like smoke in my chest, because Celeste had always known how to cut deep. The next morning, I didn't eat much. I spent the hours before her arrival pacing the guest room, folding and unfolding the same sweater 3 times, smoothing my hair, even though I wasn't going anywhere. Julian, on the other hand, was steady. He had his morning coffee, read the paper, even asked Mrs. Larkin to arrange for fresh flowers in the study, his quiet way of reclaiming the space. At 1:59, we heard her car pull into the long gravel drive. I stood at the window and watched her step out, dressed like she was going into a courtroom, crisp black pantsuit, stilettos, too sharp for a Vermont driveway, a purse that probably cost more than everything I owned combined. "She's here," I said. Julian rolled beside me. "So are we." Mrs. Larkin opened the front door and led Celeste into the study. She looked around briefly, eyes scanning the expensive decor, the gleaming bookshelves, the polished wood. Then she saw us. Her expression shifted from professional detachment to poorly concealed judgment. "Mom," she said, her voice tight. "Celeste," I replied. Julian gestured to the 2 chairs across from the desk. "Please, let's talk." Celeste didn't sit immediately. She glanced at me, then at the ring on my hand, and something inside her hardened. "Well," she said, "I see the rumors were true." "They're not rumors," I said quietly. "They're my life." She laughed, bitter and short. "You're really doing this, falling in love at your age, with a man you haven't seen in 48 years. Julian didn't flinch. "Yes, and we intend to keep doing it." Celeste finally sat. "You don't think this is moving too fast?" "No," he replied. "We think we've wasted enough time." She looked at me, eyes blazing. "What about Dad? I loved your father," I said. "But he's gone, and I'm still here, and I still have a heart." Celeste folded her arms. "Well, don't expect me to applaud this circus." Julian's voice was calm but sharp. "We don't need your applause, only your respect." My daughter stared at me silent, then finally said, "This isn't over." "No," I said gently. "It's just beginning." Julian's private study had always reminded me of a courtroom, mahogany walls, heavy leather chairs, a long polished desk that gleamed under the slant of afternoon light. It was where he once negotiated deals worth millions, but today it would witness something far less transactional and far more personal. Celeste arrived 5 minutes early as always. Punctuality was one of her weapons. She wore her armor again, black blazer, sharp eyes, a clipped walk that announced she was here for war, not reconciliation. When Mrs. Larkin opened the door to let her in, the air changed instantly. It wasn't cold, but tense, like the pause before a storm. Julian and I were already seated across from each other, tea cooling beside us. We didn't rise to greet her. We didn't need to. She looked around the room, likely searching for weakness or maybe evidence. Then she turned her full attention to me. "This is where you've made yourself comfortable," she said. "Settled in quite nicely." I didn't take the bait. "I've made a home, yes. A real one." She turned to Julian next, her tone shifting into something falsely formal. "Mr. Hawthorne, I appreciate you agreeing to this meeting. I'll be direct. I believe my mother is taking advantage of your isolation, your health, and your grief." Julian blinked slowly like a judge weighing a poorly constructed argument. "You believe she's, what exactly, conning me into affection, faking sincerity? I think she saw an opportunity," Celeste said, voice tight. "She knew you were wealthy, knew you were vulnerable, and I've known your mother since before you were born." Julian interrupted. "Long before the zeros in my bank account, before the houses, before the name meant anything." Celeste's face flickered. She hadn't expected that. Julian leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. Do you want to talk about manipulation? Fine. Let's talk. He reached into a drawer and calmly placed a folded letter on the table. This is the eviction notice you gave your mother 3 weeks after her husband died. Celeste blinked. That's, you told her, and I quote, start working or leave. At 68, after losing the man she spent her life with. That's not love. That's control. Her voice wavered. I was trying to help her. No, Julian said, quiet but firm. You were trying to make her disappear. You stripped her of home, of dignity, of belonging. She was grieving. You handed her a job listing. I watched Celeste's carefully composed exterior begin to crack. You don't know our history. I know enough, he said. I know you treated her like a bill to be paid, and I know that for decades she buried her own needs to keep your world spinning. She folded her arms, trying to recover. So what now? You think she deserves a palace for putting up with motherhood? I think Julian said she deserves peace, choice, love. Celeste's gaze darted between us. Then she smiled, icy triumphant. Well, I hope you're both comfortable in this fantasy because the lawyers will be interested. Very interested. Julian cocked his head. Lawyers? Don't play dumb. You think people won't question why a wealthy, reclusive man suddenly rewrites his future the moment a woman from his past moves in? Oh, you mean my will? Julian smiled. You don't have to worry about that. She froze. Excuse me. My estate, everything I own, every penny, every piece of art, every acre of this land, it's all going to charity. It's been that way for years. The silence in the room could have cracked glass. No one is inheriting anything, he continued. Not Marianne, not a cousin, not a foundation in my name. It's going to anonymous causes, ones I've researched personally. Homeless shelters, music schools, hospice programs, children's mental health. Celeste's voice came out brittle and shrill. You planned this. You knew who he was, didn't you? Her words were aimed at me like poison-tipped arrows. I stood slowly, letting the truth rise in me like fire. I didn't know until I got here, but even if I had, it wouldn't have changed a thing. She scoffed. Right? And the ring on your finger is just a coincidence. Julian spoke then, low and thunderous. That ring was hers before you ever took your first breath. Celeste turned to him, face flushed with disbelief. We loved each other when we were barely more than kids, Julian said. She was my muse, my compass, the reason I built anything at all, and I lost her to a letter that never arrived. He paused, and now we found each other again, not for money, not for power, but because time finally gave us a second chance. I stepped beside him then. I wasn't afraid of her glare anymore. I'd spent too long being made small by it. We're not erasing the past, I said softly. We're building something from its ashes. Celeste stood rigid, her expression unreadable. A storm of things whirled in her eyes, anger, betrayal, confusion, maybe even shame. But she said nothing. Julian leaned back. If you can't support this, fine, but you will not interfere. For a moment I thought she might lash out again, but then something shifted in her posture. She realized perhaps that the game she thought she was playing was already over, that there was no prize, no empire to claim. She turned toward the door. Enjoy your love story, she said bitterly. Let's see how long it lasts. And then she was gone. The door clicked shut, the air released, and Julian, exhausted but calm, looked at me. Well, he whispered, that went better than expected. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. She'll be back, I said. He nodded. But next time we won't be surprised. We sat in silence for a moment, then he reached across the table and took my hand. No more secrets, he said. No more hiding. From anyone. And for the first time in years, I believed him. I believed in us. 6 months passed. Quietly, gently. The world didn't erupt in celebration, and we didn't want it to. There was no grand wedding, no glittering announcement in the newspaper, no catered reception under a white tent. Just a simple ceremony at the Hawthorne Estate Chapel, the very same stone building Julian's grandfather had built after returning from war with wood pews that still creaked under memory. I wore a pale blue dress. Julian wore a charcoal suit, and the silver ring I'd once returned in a moment of heartbreak now slipped back onto my finger where it belonged. It was Mrs. Larkin, who signed as our witness eyes misty, though she'd never admit it. And when Julian whispered, "I never stopped loving you," as he placed the ring on my hand again, I felt all 48 years collapse into that moment. All the pain, all the waiting, all the lost pages rewritten into something new. We were not starting over. We were continuing finally the life that had been paused by fate. And though everything felt calm and whole, a part of me still waited for the final aftershock, Celeste. She had been silent since the confrontation in Julian's study. No texts, no calls, just absence heavy and unfinished. I wasn't sure if she was stewing or grieving, perhaps both. I only knew that something had shifted in her that day, and I didn't believe it had been fully resolved. Then one Sunday morning, as the frost melted off the windows and I was preparing tea for Julian and me, I heard the crunch of gravel outside. I looked through the front window. Celeste. She was standing next to her car, arms wrapped tightly across her chest, as if unsure whether to come inside or flee. She wore no makeup, no heels, just jeans boots, and a sweater that made her look younger, smaller, like the daughter I used to know. I opened the front door before she knocked. She looked up. "Hi, Mom?" "Celeste," I said, surprised but steady. "You're here." She nodded, eyes glassy. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. "Of course." She followed me into the sunroom where Julian was already sitting in his wheelchair, a book resting on his lap. He looked up and without bitterness simply said, "Celeste." "Julian," she nodded. "You look, well." "I am," he replied, "and your mother is radiant." Celeste glanced at me, managing a small crooked smile. "I didn't come here to fight," she said quietly. I gestured to the couch. "Then let's sit." We sat, the three of us, in silence for a few moments, the ticking of the old clock the only sound. Then she pulled something from her coat pocket, a bundle of old yellowed letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. She placed them on the table. "I found these in one of Dad's boxes," she said. "I was cleaning out the attic." I looked at her confused. "They're not addressed to you," she added. "They're to someone named Lena?" Julian's brow furrowed. I felt my stomach drop slightly. Celeste looked down at her hands. They started after I was born, all the way until a year before he passed. I said nothing, my hands folded tightly in my lap. "He loved you, Mom. I believe that, but he also lived a double life, and I never knew." Tears rimmed her eyes now. "I always thought you two were perfect, that you had the kind of marriage I'd never live up to. But I see now, maybe perfection was just a story I told myself." She exhaled. "When he died and you crumbled, it scared me. Because if even you could fall apart, then what chance did I have? So I tried to control things. I thought if I pushed you back into shape, I'd feel safe again." Her voice broke. "But I wasn't being a daughter. I was being a dictator." Julian watched her silently, then nodded once. I reached across the table and placed my hand over hers. "I didn't know about the letters," I said, "but I'm not shocked. Marriage is rarely what it looks like from the outside." Celeste looked at me vulnerable in a way I hadn't seen in years. "I'm sorry, Mom, for the ultimatum, for the cruelty, for thinking I knew best." I squeezed her hand. "You're forgiven," I said gently. "But I need something in return. Anything. Respect. From now on, if you want to be in my life, you speak to me with kindness. You don't need to agree with my choices, but you will honor them." Celeste nodded, tears slipping freely now. "You have my word." She turned to Julian. "And you, I judged you, harshly. But you've shown me more grace than I deserved." He smiled faintly. "I've loved your mother for 48 years. That never changed." Celeste looked at us both. "I don't expect to be part of this story, But if you ever want company or help with the garden or someone to bake too many cookies, you're always welcome, I said. Just come as my daughter, not my critic. She laughed lightly through her tears. Deal. Later that afternoon, after she'd gone, Julian and I stood out on the porch together. Well, he sat. I stood behind him, hands resting on his shoulders, watching the wind ripple through the trees that framed the estate like old, gentle witnesses. She'll come around, he said softly. She already has, I replied. A little. He looked up at me. You still have your promise ring. I lifted my hand and wiggled the silver band. It fits better now, I said. Julian smiled. Funny, isn't it? The world keeps breaking us, and somehow we end up more whole. I nodded. Maybe the cracks are where the light gets in. We watched the sun dip slowly behind the trees, casting long golden streaks over the quiet land. There were no more battles to fight, no more illusions to maintain, just two old souls bruised but brave beginning again in the kind of peace that only truth can offer. And for the first time in a very long time, I knew I was exactly where I was meant to be. Sometimes in the quiet hours before dawn, I sit by the window with a cup of chamomile tea, watching the mist rise over the hawthorn woods, and I let myself breathe it all in. The losses, the changes, the people I loved, the ones I let go, and the unexpected turns that somehow brought me here. If you had told me a year ago that I'd lose Walter, be pushed out by my own daughter, and fall back into the arms of the boy I once thought I'd lost forever, I would have shaken my head and said, not me. My story's already been written. But I was wrong. My journey wasn't ending. It was turning. I've learned that motherhood is not just about giving life, it's about reclaiming it too. That forgiveness doesn't erase pain, but it softens it. That sometimes love returns not in a blaze, but in the quiet courage of two people choosing each other again after everything. Julian and I didn't find our way back through magic. We walked through ashes, through doubt, through the wreckage of time and truth. But we arrived hand in hand, not as who we were, but as who we'd become. And Celeste, well, her edges are still sharp, but there's warmth beneath them now. She visits, she calls, she hugs longer. Healing is slow, but it's happening. I once thought grief would define the rest of my days, but instead it made room for something new. Sometimes the love you thought was lost forever was just waiting for you to come home. And now I want to ask you, yes, you watching this, have you ever been given a second chance? In love, in life, in something you thought you'd buried? And if that door opened, would you have the courage to walk through it? Because sometimes the life you thought had ended is only just beginning. What struck me most in Marianne's story wasn't just the lost love found again, it was how invisible she had become to the people closest to her. And isn't that a truth we don't talk about enough? In our fast productivity-obsessed world, aging often feels like erasure. Mothers become burdens. Elders become financial line items. Grief becomes an inconvenience. We praise youth speed and reinvention, but we forget wisdom, endurance, and the quiet power of survival. Marianne wasn't just fighting for love. She was fighting to matter, to be seen not as a dependent or a fading figure in someone else's rearview mirror, but as a full human being with depth, memory, and value. And Julian, he reminded us that some promises transcend time, that real love never clocks out even when decades pass in silence. This story makes me believe that second chances are not fantasy. They're real, but they require bravery to leave behind comfort, to face uncomfortable truths, and to choose love after loss. Not everyone will understand, and not everyone needs to. But what matters most is choosing yourself again. So I ask you, have you ever felt like you were written off too soon? Have you been offered a second chance in love and life, in your sense of self, but hesitated? Drop a comment below and tell me, would you take that second chance, or would fear keep you frozen? Your story might just inspire someone else to begin again. And maybe, just maybe, that's where healing truly begins.